Okay.
So welcome to Cooking Fun with Joanna, and that's me, your host. I am a intuitive nutritionist and a inflammation expert. And inflammation can be pain, it could be digestive issues, it could be all sorts of other health issues. So we try to find out what the root cause of the issue is and kind of unravel the layers that are causing the pain and causing the symptoms. And a lot of times, how you feed yourself nutritionally is part of the issue, but it could also be how you feed yourself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But today we're going to focus on that physical part where we're going to make some healthy food choices. And today we are making roasted, what is this called? Spaghetti squash with thyme and garlic. And we're also going to be making chicken with thyme and mustard. So I'll go through the ingredients fairly quickly. Obviously you need, I can't even do this with one hand. You need one medium-sized butternut squash, and we're going to cut it up into quarters, put it on a roasting pan and put it in the oven. So if you have an oven, I would just say turn that on to 450 so that it starts to cook. And then we're going to need some olive oil, some thyme, sea salt, some freshly chopped up garlic, and the recipe calls for 3 cloves. Depending on how big yours is, it could be 4 cloves. If you like garlic a lot, then you could put in even more. So there's that. And then we're going to also use the thyme and garlic for the chicken. So I have 4, I think it's 4, 1, 2, 4 chicken breasts. And I might make all of them and I might make less of them. And we may cut them into slices so that they cook faster, or we might cut them into cutlets to have them cook faster. But that is going to be chicken, 2 tablespoons of whole grain mustard, 2 shallots. Oh shoot, I didn't buy 2 shallots. I knew there was something. Oh, I have 2 shallots. So we're going to use shallots for this one instead of onions. And some thyme and salt and pepper and some olive oil. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop up the, I keep forgetting what it's called. It's a spaghetti squash. Spaghetti squash. So it is one of those things that are in season for October, and we're almost in November. I'm going to try to peel this label off because I don't think I want that to be in the oven. That might catch on fire, and we don't want a fire in the kitchen just from some kind of label. So you're going to take your big butcher knife. I'm going to go ahead and prop you down so that you can see what I'm doing. You're going to take that big butcher knife, and probably the easiest thing is to stab it first, but you have to put some muscle into it. So you might have to, and then cut it as best you can. And as you see, I'm turning the squash while I try to cut. But you need a sharp knife for that. And now we're going to, I think the easiest thing is to scoop out the insides first. And I'm just going to scoop out the insides into a bowl. Maybe I'll make some roasted seeds with that later. But you want to scoop all this stuff out until you get to that smooth part. So all this stuff that looks kind of hairy, so to speak, and where the seeds are growing, you want to scoop that all out. It's just something to do while you're, clean this out while the oven is heating up. But this usually comes out pretty quickly and pretty easily. And then once you're done with that, then you got to do the other half. Because you might as well do it all at one time. But you want to kind of scrape it to the edge, twist the spoon, and definitely use at least a soup spoon not a teaspoon. A teaspoon, I think, might be painful. But a big spoon might be, too big of a spoon might be too hard to maneuver. All right, the second half was actually easier than the first. And hopefully it was that way for you too. So I'm just gonna take these and put them aside. Because my favorite thing with those seeds is pull out the seeds, lay them on a, put them into a bowl, toss them with a little bit of olive oil and some sea salt and put them on a pan and roast them. So good. So now we're gonna cut this into, did I say quarters? I think into quarters. So it's gonna be a little tricky, but again, you're gonna have to probably stand the, my knife is not wanting to slide through. You're gonna do the best you can is what I'm saying. And I'm gonna chop off this stump here because I think that's gonna just get in the way. And yes, you have to put some muscle into it. You might feel like you're breaking the whole house, but you're not. All right, so again, so you're gonna cut this into four sections and then do the same thing with the other half. Tell you, this is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And mine just split. So here you go. This is how it happens in real life. This is not a perfect scenario, but maybe it's exactly perfect. So you want to take that foil, put it on your baking sheet. Make sure it's actually in the baking sheet. And then you're going to lay these pieces out. Maybe it's going to be better this way, sideways. And then the pieces that fell off, I can just put them over here. And what we're gonna do is do the same thing with the other half. And then we're gonna either brush it with some olive oil, or if you happen to be lucky like me and have a misto sprayer, you can spray the olive oil on it. I'm gonna pull my sleeves up and do the other half. Okay, I broke another piece off. I think I don't work in a restaurant. It's only Shay Joanna.
Yeah.
Because I think once these are cooked anyway, I think you can just scrape it off the ends and it'll look more like spaghetti. All right, so that I have ready. Now I'm gonna wash my hands a little bit because it's still got a little sticky. And you can either brush it with olive oil or spray this with olive oil. And then we're gonna chop up some garlic. And this is why the sprayer is really my favorite thing, is because you can spray it exactly where you want it. And sometimes I find otherwise I get olive oil all over the place. Then you're gonna put some sea salt on it and some pepper. So this is I think this is where a salt mill takes too long, but that's what I got. So that's what I'm doing. And it's hard to see if I put salt on the pieces or not. Now we're gonna do the same thing with pepper. And we're gonna put some thyme on it, but we're also going to put the garlic. So depending on how much garlic you want, you're going to Use the edge of that knife and smash down the garlic so that you can get the peel off easier. But we're gonna do at least 1 garlic clove, if not 2 or 3. It all depends on how big your garlic clove is. So this one's actually fairly big. I'm going to cut it in half and then cut it into strips, but I got to hold on to that garlic and make sure it stays together while I slice it. And then try to keep it as close together as you can and then dice it as small as you can. But keep your fingers out of the way. Oh, there's a piece that it's too big. And then you're gonna take this and sprinkle it on top of the squash. And I'm actually gonna do 2 garlic cloves because I don't think 1 is gonna be enough. So I'm gonna find another big piece so that I could just do 2 big ones. And again, you're gonna cut the end off and then take the edge of the knife, push down, and that can actually help to get the peel off a lot faster. And the fresher the garlic, the harder that peel comes off. So just be patient with yourself, be patient with the garlic, and just keep at it until it comes off. And then you're gonna chop this one up too, just like you did the first one. This is where it might be handy to keep a wet paper towel. So then you can wipe your hands and you can actually not have all these little sticky things from the garlic stick to your fingers. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other piece of garlic. I'm gonna slice it down the middle, cut it into 4 little sections, and then dice it. And mine just came apart. And then try to dice it as small as you can so that you can spread it a little bit easier across the squashes. And then once you're done with that, then it's time to put it in the oven. And we're gonna keep them in the oven for 10 minutes. And we'll have to check to see if that's actually, it might be a little bit more than that. And the trick is to try to, I don't know if I can do this any closer. This I think now is to try to get the garlic on the squash, because I've gotten plenty of it on the pan next to the squash. It'll still be good either way. Oh, and then we have to put the thyme on here too. If you've got dry thyme, that might be a little bit easier. I think that's what I'm going to do just to save on time, or T-I-M-E time. But all my garlic is on there. You can use the fresh thyme, and I'll show you how to do that. Sometimes you have to use a little bit more fresh thyme. And you'll want to take the top, and mine just broke apart, so that's not a good demonstration. But you actually can slide the leaves off the, I don't know if you call this a twig or stick or what you call it, but you're gonna just hold on to the top, and this is not working. Let me find one that's a little bit better. Hold on to this top part and then rub your fingers down, and the thyme should come off. And like I said, it might be easier to do dry thyme because this just takes a lot of time. I think this is the part that takes a little bit of patience, because I want to do it fast, And all I end up doing is breaking the twig. So then I don't get anything except for frustrated. And a frustrated chef is never a good thing, right? Was that a note? Are you in agreement with me, Shannon?
I am. I'm in agreement.
Yeah. So my recommendation is save the first time for something else. Just do the dried.
That's what I have. I have dry.
Yeah, well, good. So you're ahead of me. You want to know what's next, right? Put it in the oven for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be 10 or 15, but for some reason this time, I don't know if it's just a different kind. Or maybe it's fresher. I have no idea, but for whatever reason, the leaves are not coming off very easily at all. So to save yourself some aggravation, you might want to just stick with dried thyme. And it'll still taste just as good. But we're going to be using thyme in the chicken recipe too. So I think that looks ready. This is what mine looks like. And I'm going to now put it into the oven. Let's see where it's hot in here. Now I'm going to actually turn mine down a little bit because my oven runs hot. And I'm going to turn the timer on so that we don't forget about it. And there it is. It's okay. So now we're going to cut some more garlic. We're going to get some of I'm going to get the mustard. Mustard. So we're going to chop up look at this, guys, I'm trying to still sneak into the picture. We're going to chop up the shallot. And I guess you probably want to see what it is that I'm doing. So let me do it this way. Chop the bottom off. And shallots typically come apart into these little sections. If you don't have a shallot, go ahead and use an onion. But shallots are a little bit sweeter than onions, so it gives it actually a very nice, pleasant flavor. And if you've ever had sauce béarnaise, it goes really well with like a fillet or a standing rib roast. They use shallots in that one, and it really makes a humongous difference. All right, I'm having challenges with my shallot skin here. And you're going to try to make sure that that piece with that thin layer is off so that it cuts a little bit easier. I'm going to get rid of these skins because I don't want them in my chicken. And I'm going to use that paper towel again just to wipe off the knife so that it's not slick. So I have to take that piece off because it's not looking so hot. But this one, if you can try to cut it down the middle, and then you're just going to slice it into 1/4-inch slices. You definitely have to make sure your knife is sharp for this. And hold on to it and concentrate. And you might need to dig in your nails to hold on to that shallot so it doesn't all fall apart. All right, I'm gonna just save the rest for something else. But now you can, if you've got an electric stove, I would heat up a big frying pan. I happen to have a 12-inch pan, so everything fits on here, and it's a non-stick, which makes it even better. You want this, if you're on an electric stove, you definitely want to put it on high heat for now to heat up the pan. But I'm gonna just keep going here and cutting the other half of the shallots. And wait till that heats up. Then we can put the oil into it and put the shallots in. Come on. All right. So same thing here. You don't have to actually, well, depending on how thick it is, you might not have to cut it in half. But just make sure you're cutting it into those 1/4 inch slices. And then put 2 tablespoons of oil into your pan if it's heated up. Mine is heated, so I am going to add my oil. And you'll notice that I typically eyeball everything. So if you're new to cooking, you might want to measure it out. And then just make sure that the oil is kind of on the whole pan. And then cut the shallots in. And notice I still have a couple skins. And then we're going to cut 3 garlic cloves into this one. And this one we're just going to slice. We're not going to chop them up into small, we're not going to dice them. And I'm going to get some 3 big cloves for me anyway. So again, you're going to chop off the end. And that usually gets some of the skin off. Get rid of those skins. Then you take the edge of the knife and push down. Since I've got 3, I'm doing it 3 times. And then the skin should come off even easier. It's like a dream. It comes off so easily. I'm going to get rid of those little leftover skins that are on my cutting board because I don't want the skins in the meal. They might add some extra roughage and fiber, but I'm not sure they would taste good. All right. So this one, you're just going to, I'm just going to cut it in half and just cut it into slices. Oh, that's a whopper of a garlic. So garlic is a great thing for an immune boost. If you eat it raw, it'll pretty much be antiviral and antibacterial. And I would suggest putting it into something like hummus or some kind of cooked beans so that you can lower the heat. But if you're feeling like you're fighting a cold, and now of course we're going into the starting to be cold season, putting a clove of garlic, eating 1 a day raw will do so much to boost your immune system. So if you feel like you're a little bit run down and you're starting to feel a scratchy throat or something coming on and you're fighting it, that would be a good time to actually add the raw garlic into your routine. You can also add it into a smoothie, depending on what kind of smoothie you have. But the more you cook it, the less powerful it's going to be. Still pretty darn good. You're still going to ward off those those vampires and negative energies, but this way at least you'll be able to fight off that cold a lot easier and get over it. There's also a few other products that you can use too. Microbiome Labs has a fairly new product called Mega Immune, and this is something to take just to help support the immune system when you're going through something. And then vitamin C is also very helpful. So like I said, there's two things that you can do. You can either cut this into strips or you can cut it down the middle so it's into cutlets. And I think I'm going to try to see if I can make this into a cutlet. But you got to kind of hold up one side of the chicken so that you can slice it down the middle. But this will make it a lot easier to cook because it's half the thickness, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfect, which is, I think if you were on a regular cooking show, they probably want it to be perfect, but here we are. And we're just going to cut these into cutlets, or you can cut them into 1-inch strips. There's not a better or worse. It's all going to make it cook faster either way. Oh, and I hear my squash popping. Do you hear yours popping?
Yeah.
All right, so you're gonna lay the chicken cutlets on the pan. And you can also just move the garlic and the onions out of the way. Wow, that was 10 minutes already. Because my oven is saying that I only have 1 more minute left for cooking the squash. And somehow that just doesn't seem like it's long enough. So we're gonna test it and see once I get these 3 breasts in the pan. So you can see what mine looks like right now. I just have it laid out. Pretty simple. And that's all we're gonna do for now, is just have. Now we're just gonna put some salt and pepper. All right, I'm gonna turn the oven off. I'm gonna wash my hands. I got chicken all over it. Wash my hands, grab another paper towel. Now we're going to do the exercise of salt and pepper. That's the easy part, right? We're gonna add the mustard in at the end once you have some of the juices. If you have mustard seeds, you can put the mustard seeds into the pan. We're gonna put a little bit of pepper on here. Dried thyme to ease my frustration. And then we're gonna put thyme on the chicken. And I would say you're supposed to be 2 tablespoons, so definitely be liberal with it. Make sure that it's pretty good and covered.
I would have to look.
Pardon me?
Okay,
This could be done a lot faster than I expected.
nowhere. What's on the
So
box?
now I'm gonna check I'm gonna check my spaghetti squash. And I don't know if I can show you how to do this. Can I go check the spaghetti squash? And mine is nowhere near done. I don't know where they came up with 10 minutes. So we're just gonna do that for another 15. And we're just gonna wait here. But this is gonna be pretty easy, that once we put in the, once the chicken cooks for another five or 6 minutes and we flip it over. Putting my oven back on. My wedges did not that fast. But now we can go ahead and, now that the chicken is cooking on the edges, can you see how it's starting to be white along the edges? That's typically your indication of it being ready. But I'm gonna wait till it kind of comes along the edges of these pieces too before we flip it. Okay. Then you can either use tongs or you can use a spatula. But part of the reason why you want to just keep the onions and the garlic a little bit on the edge is because I find that if you stick it in the middle, sometimes you'll just get totally charred garlic and shallots, and then it ruins the flavor. So we're getting a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. I'm gonna move some of those garlics inside. But it's gonna take a good, 2 more minutes on this side before we flip the pieces over. So in the meantime, we have 2 things cooking. So I will tell you what we're gonna cook in 2 weeks. That's gonna be, I think, November 8th. So this is gonna be something totally different. We're gonna have cornmeal crusted chicken and a pumpkin leek risotto. So we're gonna still stick with the theme of pumpkin because it's still fall. And in November, I think we still need pumpkin, but this might be something as a good alternative that if you wanted to substitute turkey in place of it, and even with leftovers, it might be a really great option after Thanksgiving. Okay.
Yep.
But I think, putting pumpkin and leek together, I learned that in some other recipe that I had, some kind of a bechamel sauce for a vegetarian lasagna. And I just remember that being a really nice combination, but I couldn't find that recipe. So I found something new. And I thought, risotto, we haven't made anything with rice. Let's try that now. All right, my chicken is looking pretty good on this one side. So I am going to flip my chickens over. And yep. Probably could have made that into more of a thinner piece of cutlet. Oh well. I think it's gonna take a little bit longer to cook. I am going to turn the heat up just a tad bit more, otherwise it'll be too much liquid. This will be a good time to actually pull out the mustard. And because I have it already in a pourable container, I'm just going to put some of it on the chicken. And then spread it around a little bit. No, that didn't really look that appetizing, did it?
Mhm.
I think it'll be okay. Still gonna be edible. I'm just gonna take that mustard and smear it around and make sure it's covering each piece of the chicken. And that one just needed a little bit more because it looks a little bare. And now that you've flipped it over, I'm actually gonna add a little bit more thyme. And now I'm gonna check my acorn, or I keep wanting to call it acorn squash. This is spaghetti squash. I'm gonna check the spaghetti squash. And it's getting there. Slowly but surely, it's getting there. Mine's halfway cooked. Did you check yours, Shan?
Oh, yeah, mine's cooked.
Yours is cooked?
Yeah, but I put it in earlier than you.
Pardon me?
I had put mine in early so that it would cook.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think it needs a good 20 minutes to cook.
Yeah, it was
Maybe even
definitely.
25. And I was misled by the recipe that I read that it said 15 minutes. No, it said 10. It's definitely not 10.
No.
The only way it could be 10 is if you put it into liquid and steamed it.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't do it that way. I think it'll taste better roasted.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to put the weight for this. I am going to see how my chicken is doing. I'm going to take my big knife. And it is not doing. So if you can see, it still is quite pink. So it's going to need another couple of minutes. But that's how you check to make sure it's cooked through, is take one piece and cut it. So if you want to speed up the cooking, this is where you take a lid and put it on top. And that will be like a pressure cooker. And right now it looks really cool with all the designs on the top of the lid. It's almost like a science experiment, you know? It doesn't look like that on your screen, but the steam is kind of going all over the top. Kind of cool. That's all I can say. It's kind of cool. Did you do anything fun this weekend?
I went up to Peller's Village on Friday.
Did they to see the scarecrows?
Yeah, looked around at the scarecrows and had lunch.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a nice, Friday was a nice day. I took off half a day.
Nice. Always nice to
Yeah,
have a day off. I actually had 5 days off. I was up in Maine. My
yeah, I did a
first
lot of hiking.
Maine, I went up to Acadia National Park and stayed up on Desert Mountain Island. We had actually pretty decent weather, and the foliage up there is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out to eat just for lunch. We basically had breakfast at home and dinner at home because a friend of mine has a house up there, so we stayed there.
Mhm.
And lunches were crazy, like so busy. It was at least an hour to an hour and a half wait every.
Yeah.
So you wait all that time for lunch. It whittles away your time on your vacation, but
Yeah.
but
It's
it
still
is
nice
what
to
it
go
is.
out.
You
Yeah.
know, we had popovers, which are kind of like Yorkshire puddings.
Uh-huh.
It's so good. And they had a strawberry jam that was so yummy. And we had lobster on Friday, which was caught on Friday. So I don't know if I've ever had lobster that fresh, but it was just like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah, you have to have seafood when you go up there.
Yeah, and I had some other dish on Saturday, which had haddock in it. So I tried to have a different fish every day that we went out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Nice.
it was nice to get away and kind of explore and go and see the different areas. That it's so pristine up there. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is different up there.
Yeah, but it was also amazing that we were actually cooking on hot plates rather than a stove, because somehow with COVID and all the rest of it, their stove still hasn't been delivered in the last 6 months.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think part of it is that transportation wise, maybe they don't have enough people to get their things there, but because of COVID, they have a lot of helpers that they have come in as international students.
Oh, yeah.
So because their helpers aren't there because nobody's traveling and nobody did exchange programs for school, then those helpers aren't there. So yeah, it's kind of weird where you and I think, like, why would it take so long? But that's my assumption of what the reason is that they just have too much going on. All right, now I'm gonna check out my chicken and see if it's, I don't know if I should check my chicken first or if I should check the All right, where was my fork? Well, it looks like my chicken is ready. I'm gonna try cutting another piece just to be sure. All right, my chicken is ready. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna keep it covered. And now I'm gonna check my butternut squash again. I keep calling it butternut squash. It's a spaghetti squash. Spaghetti squash. Oh, finally. All right. Spaghetti squash is ready, but I can't take it out because I have a knife in my hand. So definitely use mitts with silicone in it so you don't burn your hand. And this is what they look like. There you go. No idea how this is going to taste. But the cool thing is with these things is that you can just scrape it off the peel and it looks like spaghetti. So now we get to do the favorite part, right? We get to try it. We get to eat. That is always the best part of cooking class, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is the chicken, that is the butternut squash. And now I'm just gonna go get myself a plate because we're civilized around here. We eat on plates. In Ethiopian, I think it was Ethiopian, They have a thing called gusha, and it looks like a really thick buttermilk crepe. And you tear off a piece of the crepe and grab the food with the crepe. So you actually eat with your hands. And I don't know if it's called Ethiopian or if that's Americanized Ethiopian. I don't know. All I know is that if you ever want a different kind of dining experience, I would suggest that. So definitely need a knife. I will take a spaghetti squash. Then a piece of chicken. The only thing this thing is missing is like, I feel like it needs a bunch of greens on it, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, I think it's fine because you get the vegetable from the spaghetti squash. So what does yours look like?
Let's see. Well, turn this around.
All I see is darkness on your side.
Hold on. There we go.
Let's pin you to the picture too.
There it is.
Woohoo! Oh, that looks good. Oh, so yours is you shredded your.
I did. I shredded my spaghetti squash.
You shredded your spaghetti squash, which might actually be a really great idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea, for sure.
Yep. There it is.
All right, come on. My computer is acting up on me today. All right, so now we have the opportunity to eat our dinner. So I'll show you how to scrape off that. So the spaghetti squash, you can actually just hold it in place and scrape off and just pull out the squash. And just be careful with it because it's really, really, really hot. But I think it'll be really good if you put these two together. So I'm going to cut that in half. Cut a little piece of the chicken. We're going to try it all together now. So the spaghetti squash is just like spaghetti.
Yeah, it's really good.
It kind of falls apart on you, but it's kind of fun to eat. I have to say, I really like it. I think the two of them go really, really well together.
Yeah, really good.
Well, it probably helps that they both have garlic and thyme in it, but I think even beyond that part, I think it turned out really, really well. And then, like I said, our next meal is going to be cornmeal crusted chicken with a pumpkin leek risotto. So something totally different. And who knows, maybe I'll add something green in there or some cauliflower. Oh, that's what we'll do. Maybe it'll be a pumpkin leek risotto with cauliflower risotto. So it'd be cauliflower rice instead of rice. What do you think about that, Sam?
Colored cauliflowers too.
Cauliflower rice.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
like get one of those like orange ones or green ones for color.
Huh.
The
Well,
cauliflower.
are you talking about the yellow or the purple cauliflower? Yeah. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
We could try that. But yeah, instead of having the rice, you could do it with just cauliflower.
Yeah, cauliflower rice. Yeah, that would be good.
I think that's what we're doing. All right. So that'll be November, I think it's November 8th. And if you have any questions or have any, let us know how yours turned out when you post in the comments below. You can contact me with any questions or suggestions, and I am Joanna Hodorowska, nutritioninmotion.net. Enjoy your dinner and let us know how yours turns out. Bye.